All right, so going to do a quick update here on what we've got accomplished on the car so far. Got a little bit of progress, got some more shiny stuff underneath the hood here, but the main thing we've been doing is working underneath the car to get the subframe modified so we can make room for the exhaust and transmission. There's been some work on the torque arm area, especially at the back by the pumpkin on the Ford 9-inch. Trying to get that to clear. We've bolted stuff back in place up here, but haven't really done any modification or anything like that here. Again, everything so far has been underneath the car that we've been working on. So I'll start showing you some of that. All right, so that's the first factory subframe part that I've cut off here. So again, what I'm doing is I got to make room for the transmission, and so this part here was in my way, so I whacked it off. It came out pretty nice for our first cut. Got to clean it up. And I still got to take care of the notching over there, and got to cut that one off. Well, I'm gonna get back at it. All right, so I thought I'd do a recap of what we gotten done so far on this thing. All right, so see if I can get this where it'll show up. Here's the factory subframe right there, and again, you can see where it normally curves that way, and I'm going to come just straight back. Well, it's actually kicked to the outside instead of the inside on both of these. That'll give me my exhaust clearance that I need. So this is where I'm going to give the clearance for that hump that's in the rear of the 4L80 that was interfering there. It doesn't really take a great amount. I'll have to check it here shortly. That's why I haven't welded it back up or fitted it anything yet. I want to get the training back up in here. So that handles the exhaust side of things and physically getting it in here. Now you'll have, let's see if I can set this down a minute. All right, so somewhere, for reference, there's the back of the engine. So somewhere roughly in this area here, see, there we go. There's the back of the engine. So somewhere right about here, that's going to be where the transmission line's set. And that'll be another close area. It'll have to be a pretty close 90 to clear it. But I think there's enough clearance for the transmission lines for that. But I think we're okay there. So again, so this is the 9-inch Ford from Quick Performance, and it's just a bolt-in kit type thing. We've got 320 gears in it. Anyways, and then this is the UMI torque arm that fits it. Now we had to cut it originally. It's got like 4 bolt holes with this bracket here offset to the outside, but the other set of bolt holes will let you move it in, and it's tight. We'll probably have to do a little hammer work up by that driver's side rear seat belt mount, but it will go. All right, but that'll work. And then, like I said, I got to build a cross member for the transmission, and it's going to line up the transmission tail housing mount is just a little bit in front of this front mount for the torque arm here. Or no, I take it back. I can put this here, and the tab for the transmission is right behind it. That's what it measured out to. Sorry, I said that wrong. So I'll be able to put my transmission cross member here on the center line of my front of my torque arm, and put my shackle there, and then I'll have a tab that sticks back just a little bit. You know, I'm going to say it's going to be roughly about in this area as far as where the tab for the transmission mount goes. Anyways, so bottom line, we got a little bit of work done today. I'll get metal for building subframe connectors tomorrow, and we'll get on that. And hopefully here in a couple days, we'll have the underside of this car put together, maybe by next weekend or so. All right, talk later. All right, just showing you one of the things that's got to be done to make this thing fit halfway decent. There's a big old tab on the side of these transmissions up here that's just easier to cut off. They serve no purpose for anything that we're doing, and it's just in the way. And I'm talking about this one right here. I've already partially cut through it with a Sawzall. It goes through really pretty quick. Now, you can also, later on, depending on exhaust clearance, I may have to trim these tabs back here. That would be for the splash shield that goes down here. I'll evaluate that later and see how it works. Anyways, I'm gonna finish cutting this thing off here. All right, so here's what the transmission looks like on its first test fit. This 4L80 into the 3rd gen Firebird working on here, all right? It's fairly tight, but the driver's side is what I'm showing here right now. It does clear your shifter linkage here. Let me see if I can hold the light and camera and everything. It does have plenty of clearance here. There you go. Maybe I can show you that better there. Anyways, that's got plenty of clearance. We're good there. You can kind of see where the outline was for the original subframe support on the car and where they would be, and I just wouldn't leave much space to do this very good. You could do it and leave them in place, but trying to fit exhaust, and I'll show that here in just a second, trying to fit exhaust by here would be very difficult. On this passenger side, let's see here, you can see the transmission fitting up there, and see if I can get where you can see this back one here. There's the back one, all right? Now, the back one especially, let's see here again if I can get there. It is going to be awful tight. I'm just going to put banjo style fittings on this, and that'll let the transmission lines fit good. So just plan on banjo fittings for your transmission lines and you'll be good. All right. You can see that part that I cut off earlier. Yeah, there's no way that would fit. You'd have to cut it off. I still may have to cut off this ear right here on both sides just to gain some clearance for the exhaust. I'll check that out here when I start doing test fits on the old exhaust system, figure out what I got to modify. Again, remember I took out a T5, which is this little bitty tiny transmission, and putting in this great big 4L80 transmission in its place. So again, you can see where the original, well, let's see here if I can get it. There, you can kind of see where I cut the original supports are for the original subframe connector. Get back here, we'll look at it from this way. You can kind of get an idea how they would have been a probable issue. And like I said, with me trying to put exhaust, they were just really in the way for putting 2 exhaust systems. So like I said, I'm just moving them. Anyways, so right now I've got some clearance up there above the U-joint. The output shaft there, so I'm right there. Now this is that UMI torque arm. Let's see here if I can get a good shot. There's a little window right there, you see it? That I'll be able to make a mount and get that to work there. So I'll be okay there. Overall, in pretty good shape here. And really the only problem I've got right now is this bracket for the emergency brake line on the back at the rear for the torque arm mount. Going to have to do something about that one. That one's just in the way. But overall, initial fit's pretty good. I'm starting to get my plans together. Hopefully I'll have metal here so I can build my subframe connectors and do the transmission cross mount, the torque arm front mount, all that stuff here. I should have it all here Monday, and I can start working on that. All right, quick update of how things are going here, all right? So back here by the torque arm, it was a real big problem area. Now got enough clearance here, I think, for it to go through its travel. Might be a little bit tight at the very top, but I think we're going to be just fine. One thing I got to do left right now is this is the emergency brake cable. I'll have to make a mount, get that welded back in place. But we're in pretty good shape back here now. I put the down pipes on and the turbos on. Let's see here, we've got light there. Let's see if I can get the light under control. Well, just light over there. Anyways, got the down pipes on. So this one, when I originally built this car, I had a V-band clamp up by the oil filter. So all that fit back right on, no problem. This is the one on the passenger side here, and we got a V-band clamp just roughly past the firewall here, so I'm in good shape there. So all that stuff for the front side's good. I'll just have to build a new Y pipe. Now the original Y pipe here, that was for the T5 tranny, this is it right here. All right. Now this area right here, that's where that T5 transmission was. All right. And that's to give you a perspective here. All right. So my hand's roughly 8 inches across, and I'm touching part of both pipes, part way at both pipes here, right? So I didn't get a tape measure, but it's probably only about, 7 inches wide or so, something like that, at that point around the transmission. And then it came back, and there's a spot right here that would have went underneath the torque arm to allow movement for it. Then of course the Y pipe that connected on back here for this 4-inch exhaust here, right? So put it in perspective again. So here's my hand, and I got inches of transmission on either side of my hand here, right? So that Y pipe, that ain't gonna fit for nothing. I'll have to make it all up, but no big deal. We've got a good starting point to work with, and my only real challenge is going to be this area right here. Whenever I go to make my torque arm mount, my transmission cross member, and that exhaust, that's all going to get really tight right through that way. But I'll figure out something. All in all, pretty good day of test fitting stuff through here. I've got my angle of my transmission set right. For motor transmission, I'm about 4 degrees down towards the rear axle. I'm happy with that. Everything's looking pretty good underneath here. I'll stop for a moment and I'll catch up on the top side. All right, so here we are back on the top side now, and you can see the headers. Now, one thing we did is we went ahead and had the headers down pipes coated. They are stainless, but you will get discoloration no matter what you do. So we did have them coated, so they're looking really pretty good. I need to put some turbo blankets or something on the exhaust housings. Those always are a challenge to keep looking good. And here's the one on the driver's side. You can kind of see the path that I take. I go over the engine mount there on both sides. This leaves just enough room for that front dress assembly with the alternator, power steering, air conditioning, and all that stuff. It just fits. Everything just barely clears through, but it all clears. But it was just good to see all this stuff start going back together. Of course, these valve covers, here, they're going to go away. We got some really nice ones that go in place. They just didn't want to get them all scratched up as we were mocking stuff up, taking engine in and out, and all that junk. So those will get replaced, but it ought to really start looking pretty good here pretty quick. by getting this all mocked up, you can start to see some of the electrical. There's my ECM, the mount for it. We still got to do a little bit of fine tuning on the mount just to clean it up. Some of the electrical junction blocks we'll use for the heavy gauge wiring. All this loose wiring here, we've got to reroute all of that. There's a lot of that that's just different now, changing from a carburetor and a distributor over to a EFI setup. So there's going to be a lot of changes on that. That's why it's just all loose. Still got to put the steering box back in place. That's just loose, but it'll be the same as what it was before. You can kind of see the steering shaft just sitting down there right now, but it fit between there. But that's all just going back. We just got to had that out so we could change out from the 3 pedals for the having the one for the clutch to a 2 pedal system for the automatic transmission. Now we got those pedals in place. We'll put the steering column back in so we can steer this thing when we roll it around. But all in all, it's starting to look like something again. Just making some progress. I'll catch y'all up later.